I'm at the opening day of the Dragon Boat races in Taiwan, where thousands have turned out to watch one of the most exciting events of the sports calendar.
Prosecutors aren't filing charges in the case of a teen millionaire who died just 2 hours after getting married. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi meets U.S. President Joe Biden at the White House. Plus, growing pushback against solar farm projects in an eastern Taiwan township. Hello and welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Eric Gao. Starting off in local news, the Dragon Boat Festival has begun. Dragon Boat races are the main event of the holiday, and hundreds of Dragon Boat teams are ready to get out on the water. Crowds in Taipei are already cheering on their favorite teams, and Sally Jensen went to see the races for herself.
It's day one of the Dragon Boat races here in Taiwan, and people of all ages have shown up in their thousands to watch one of the most exciting sporting events that's celebrated across many parts of Asia. It marks Dragon Boat Festival, which falls on the 5th day of the 5th month of the lunar calendar. But what's the story behind this yearly event?
Races are essentially reenacting an age-old legend originating in China. Around 2,000 years ago, it's said locals went out in boats like these to try and rescue poet and politician Qu Yuan, who had drowned himself in the Miluo River. The story has now become a popular sport in Taiwan.
因为龙舟这个运动其实就是很多年了啦。那因为我们每年都会参加我们的龙舟竞赛。那其实台北啊，其实各县市我们每到端午节都会举办这个活动。3、2、1，
第一个是我们团队，就我们整个公司大家的一个团结性很棒。然后第二个是划龙舟，其实是一个中华传统，我觉得是一个非常重要的事情。然后可以借由这个比赛，让大家更了解这个活动，然后跟团队一起，就大家的感情会更，我觉得很棒。
These days, the races held around Taiwan, like this one in Taipei, have more of a festive atmosphere. Spectators not only come to watch over 200 Dragon Boat teams cross the finish line, they also come to enjoy the long weekend.
今天就带小朋友第一次来看划龙舟啊，对，带他体验一下。
The first time we are here. Yeah, we came from India. It's for last 1 month. Here we are here, so we're enjoying so much. Nice experience. Yeah.
Dragon Boat Festival is a 3-day public holiday in Taiwan, and as you can see, the crowds have shown up to watch their favorite competitors. There are men's teams and women's teams and even a junior division. But which teams will come out victorious? For that, we'll have to wait till the last day, Saturday, to find out. Patrick Chen and Sally Jensen in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Festival also means that people here in Taiwan get to enjoy a 4-day weekend. And as Harrell Hughes reports, there's plenty of ways for everyone to celebrate.
Thursday marks the start of the Dragon Boat Festival. It's one of the biggest holidays on the calendar in Taiwan, and this year the public gets to celebrate with a 4-day weekend. As the name suggests, the main event is the Dragon Boat races, which take place over 3 days. But there's much more than that going on across the country. And for many, this is the perfect chance to do some traveling.
因为我也只有假期才能请假，才有机会出国。去马来西亚兰卡威5天4夜。
With no school or work for 4 days, Taiwan's train stations and airports will be packed. Nearly 130,000 people are expected to pass through Taoyuan International Airport on Thursday. The northern airport is the country's busiest port of entry.
就是想说人会很多，所以提早出发。因为现在大概4点多，如果等下下班过后的话，就可能动弹不得。
The holiday is no less exciting for people staying in the country. There are many traditions that come with the Dragon Boat Festival, like eating zongzi, a type of sticky rice dumpling. People can either make their own or line up for hours to get their fill. And there's a fierce debate over which region makes the best ones. Another tradition is egg balancing. According to folklore, a person will have a year of good luck if they can balance an egg upright at noon on the day of the festival.
庆祝端午节的话，当然就是吃粽子啊。对，那看龙舟赛嘛，有划的人也有看的人嘛。对啊，那甚至是立蛋。对，我们就是鸡蛋会把它立起来这样的一个活动，而且这些都是庆祝端午啊。
Watching the boat races, traveling, or eating sticky rice dumplings. No matter how you spend the long weekend, it's sure to be a holiday well spent. James Lin and Harrell Hughes for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's transport minister says new traffic rules to protect pedestrians may be too harsh on drivers. A new traffic law is set to take effect at the end of this month. One rule says drivers must immediately stop for pedestrians crossing the road or preparing to cross, regardless of distance. Failing to do so can trigger a fine of $200. Responding to criticism, Transport Minister Wang Guocai says it's unreasonable to stop for a pedestrian at the far end of a long crossing, and he worries that the new rule will cause congestion. Wang says he will propose a solution next week before the new law comes into force. Meanwhile, the government is proposing an overhaul of Taiwan's entire tuition system. The plan will subsidize education fees for disadvantaged college students and make high schools free for everyone. They're also considering extending repayment periods for student loans. Taiwan's cabinet plans to announce the measures by next week. They hope to make the country's education system fair for all students.
我们现在想到的就是以减免学杂费落差的这个方式适当的来补助3个配套的措施来进行。第一个呢，就是来使得这个公私立大专的弱势的补助方案呢能够再予以扩大。第二个呢，就是高中职学费全面免费第三个呢，就是学贷延长这样的一个3个配套的措施，希望使得台湾的教育制度呢更加的健全。
It's a case that's hooked Taiwan. A teenage millionaire died just 2 hours after getting married. Did he fall or was he poisoned? Prosecutors now say he fell, and they're dropping a murder charge against his husband. Louise Watt reports.
After weeks of speculation, prosecutors in Taichung, central Taiwan, have ended their probe into the high-profile death of a newlywed teenage millionaire. Their conclusion: no evidence of foul play. This comes after examining over 100 pieces of evidence, including from the 10th floor balcony where the 18-year-old fell.
他在这3个地方踩到了指掌纹。
The case has been watched closely in Taiwan because the victim, surnamed Lai, was found dead just 2 hours after registering his marriage to a real estate agent, a 26-year-old man called Xia. He now stands to inherit Lai's $16 million fortune, a property portfolio from his late father. The victim's mother says her son wasn't even gay. She hired her own investigator, who suggested Lai had been poisoned before he fell. But prosecutors say their tests ruled that out.
总共鉴定了2551种。
Lai fell from Xia's apartment building. Prosecutors have decided not to indict Xia for murder after questioning other residents and checking his body for signs of a struggle.
没有被抓痕或打斗的相关痕迹。
But in a twist, they are charging Xia with forgery of the marriage documents. They say the pair barely knew each other. The lawyer hired by Lai's mother welcomes that charge, but has criticized the investigation.
现场根本没有封锁采证的太慢，撞击痕或者是血液喷溅的采验都没有。那我想这样子要说他就是撞到2楼，我想恐怕是稍显速断了。
Prosecutors say Lai was devastated by personal problems and the recent death of his father, implying he might have wanted to kill himself. But Lai's mother, dissatisfied with their investigation, is set to request a review, suggesting the case and the speculation around it is not over. Alex Chen and Louise Watt for TaiwanPlus.
Meanwhile, after 3 years on the run, a businessman accused of scamming investors out of $650 million is back in Taiwan. Wang Wenlie was arrested last month in Bangkok after a joint investigation between Thai and Taiwanese authorities. On Wednesday, police escorted Huang back to Taiwan, where he was taken into custody at Taoyuan Airport. Huang is a former chair of a now delisted drug company, and he fled Taiwan in July of 2020. He was indicted for fraud in 2022, and an arrest warrant was issued for him last December. Taiwanese actor Aaron Yen is the latest person to be accused of sexual misconduct. It's part of Taiwan's biggest Me Too movement. Bing Wang reports.
Moments after TikTok influencer Choi Le began his press conference, accusing Taiwanese actor Aaron Yan of sexual misconduct, Yan showed up to apologize.
那一年的我才16岁，让你承受你这个人生不应该承受的事情，真的很抱歉，对不起。
Overcome with emotion, Cho had to take a moment before resuming. He accused Yan of forcing him to have intimate relations against his will and of spreading sex tapes of him when he was a minor. Yan denied releasing any sex videos, saying they spread when he took his phone to be repaired.
拍摄影片、拍摄未成年的私密影片等等，就是违法的，这是不变的。请严先生针对以上几点做正面回复，不要再试图的混淆视听。
Taiwan's Health and Welfare Ministry says they will investigate the case.
在违反他意愿做妨碍性自主拍摄、制造这个性影像，那这个也就已经是违反《儿少性剥削法条例》的36条。
In recent weeks, more than 100 people in Taiwan have come out against their alleged abusers. It's become Taiwan's biggest wave in the Me Too movement, a global campaign against sexual misconduct. With allegations coming out every day, activists say it's time to address sexual abuse in Taiwan and hopefully spark social change. John Su and Bing Wang for TaiwanPlus.
Starting from July 1st, it's going to cost more to see a doctor at many hospitals across Taiwan. That's when changes to the country's health insurance copay system will take effect. The maximum charge for outpatient prescription drugs at large hospitals will go up to about $10 US. The cost of emergency care at those places will also rise. The goal is to encourage people with less serious conditions to go to clinics or smaller local hospitals. This is meant to free up major hospitals for patients with more specialized needs. Groups such as low-income patients and very young children will be exempt. Strains on the insurance system's finances have forced it to find ways to save costs. Meanwhile, medical groups say the large majority of Taiwan's doctors have little to no job security. Tomasz Koper explains why.
An apple a day keeps the doctor away. That or unstable contract conditions that push doctors out of jobs. Medical groups and doctors say around 90% of Taiwan's physicians are not included in the Labor Standards Act. Instead, they're given fixed-term contracts. And when those end, the employing hospital or clinic often doesn't renew them and they don't have to give a reason. Unions are calling on Taiwan's legislature to amend the country's Medical Care Act and extend labor protections to attending physicians.
一旦他对你不满意，他只要就看你的契约什么时候到期，到契约前他不要接你任何一通电话，他不要跟你有任何的沟通，期满之后当天自动把你的门禁锁起来，你不再拥有这间医院的权限，而他不需要付出任何的资遣费。
This is a problem not only for medical professionals but also for patients.
过去这几年以来啊，其实接获非常多起这个主治医师遭到医院或是诊所恶意不续聘的案件。那非常多医院的慢性患者，他其实都是3个月回诊一次，拿慢性处方签。他是不是由熟悉自己所有病情跟病史的医师来去照顾、来去诊疗？这个其实对他的预后是有举足轻重的影响。
Medical groups say some doctors, like residents or clinical researchers, are protected by the health ministry. They must be notified at least 30 days prior to the renewal of their contract. The groups say extending those protections to other medical workers may be just what the doctor ordered. Andy Xue and Tomasz Koper for TaiwanPlus.
Coming up, a world-renowned Taiwan dance troupe brings one of its most popular shows to 2 major Taiwan cities. Stay tuned for more. Welcome back. You're watching Taiwan Plus News. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has met U.S. President Joe Biden in Washington, D.C. Shubham Pal reports on what's next for the Indian leader's visit to the U.S.
It was a cordial time at the White House on Wednesday evening as US President Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden welcomed Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi for a private dinner. A number of gifts were also exchanged between Modi and the Bidens. But beyond the niceties, geopolitics still loomed large over the occasion as the US is looking to India to be a key ally in Asia.
What this visit will signify is a couple of things. That the strategic partnership has truly elevated to become one of the most key critical partnerships of the 21st century. There is synergy in energy, in defense, in trade, in technology, in educational ties. The priority is towards a free and open Indo-Pacific.
On Thursday, Modi will also have the rare opportunity to address Congress, though this won't be his first time there.
By addressing a joint session of Congress twice, what this means is he now joins the elite club of world leaders to have done so twice. That's Winston Churchill, Nelson Mandela, Bibi Netanyahu, and Vladimir Zelensky.
But not everyone in Washington is as excited about Modi's visit. 3 Congresspeople have already boycotted the Indian leader's speech. They cite human rights violation and repression of India's minorities, they say, have taken place under Modi's rule. These issues are not likely to make much headway in discussions between the two world leaders, with US National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan saying that Biden would not lecture Modi on India's domestic affairs. Devin Sai and Shubham Pal for TaiwanPlus.
To find out what the U.S.-India summit means for the Indo-Pacific region, our reporter Jaime Ocon spoke to former U.S. diplomat and military professor Patrick Mendis at the University of Warsaw.
What can we expect from Narendra Modi's visit to Washington, D.C.?
It's a pushing factor coming from the China's activities and China's involvement in Russia, and also the border issue, and also it also linked to the East China Sea, South China Sea, and also the Indian Ocean. These are the convergence of factors brought Indian Prime Minister moving away from the, historically speaking, non-aligned movement to the strategic autonomy. Now they are at the momentous stage where that two democracies coming together have a democratic alliance. So I think this is a convergence of many factors, especially driven by the China's engagement in the region and also the world affairs.
And can you talk a little bit about the significance of India trying to maybe counter China's aggression in that region?
When you look at it, India is pretty much surrounded by the Chinese forces. So therefore, there is no any other option for to move from the non-alignment to strategic autonomy to lead with the most powerful democracy of the United States. But if you look at it in the U.S. side, U.S. is also have a strategic competitor, which is China, both in economic and geopolitical and geoeconomic side. So therefore, U.S. has to have this alignment because of the domestic financial and economic issues and the challenges coming from the Russia in the Ukrainian war. There is a convergence between these two democracies to come together, work together.
And going forward, what other kinds of cooperation are we going to see between the U.S. and India?
There is a kind of now military cooperation and intelligence cooperation going between Indian and American forces and American agencies. Now this particular one is now we are going to create a democratic alliances. It's what I call P2P, people-to-people connection. People join in, both in skill visa, B visa program, many Indian skilled workers coming to the U.S., which was stopped and slowed down within the Trump administration. Now is hopefully during this trip, they probably open it up. And then also the private sector engagement. It is not to the state-to-state relation, but also to the corporate sector.
That was Patrick Mendis, a former U.S. diplomat and military professor, speaking with our reporter Jaime Ocon. A U.S. Air National Guardsman accused of leaking military secrets has pleaded not guilty to the charges against him. Prosecutors say that Jack Teixeira began posting classified information online last year. He was arrested 2 months ago. The 21-year-old appeared in a Massachusetts court on Wednesday. His lawyers argued that Teixeira did not expect the information he posted to spread around the internet. The leak is considered one of the most serious breaches of U.S. national security in the country's history. South Korea is finally deploying a massive and controversial missile defense system. That's after it passed an environmental review. The U.S.-made Terminal High Altitude Area Defense, or THAAD system, is made to block incoming ballistic missiles. The first batteries were deployed in South Korea in 2017, but its installation was stopped midway due to safety concerns about its radar emitting electromagnetic radiation. According to South Korea's defense ministry, the recent environmental assessment found the levels of radiation are within safe limits. The system has drawn fierce criticism from nearby China, which says that the system's radar violates its airspace. It's a race against time in the search for a missing tourist submersible in the North Atlantic. The U.S. and Canadian Coast Guards have expanded their search area with concerns that the vessel's oxygen supply is reaching dangerously low levels as they have less than an hour's worth of air left. 5 people, including 1 child, are aboard the Titan submersible. It lost contact with its surface ship on Sunday. The group was exploring the wreckage of the Titanic almost 4 kilometers down in waters off Canada's east coast. At least 31 people are dead after a gas explosion in a barbecue restaurant in northwest China. Chinese state media report that a petroleum gas leak caused the blast in the country's Ningxia region. 7 people are in the hospital after suffering burns and other injuries. This part of China is popular for its barbecue and hot pot restaurants, which feature miniature gas tanks under many of the tables. Back in Taiwan, too many solar panels. That's the fear in eastern Taiwan, where locals worry about the development of new solar farms. It's just the latest case of rural pushback as Taiwan races to hit its green energy goals. John Van Trieste reports.
This could be too much of a good thing. At least that's how some residents of Fonglin Township feel about the number of solar panels, which are covering more and more land. This corner of eastern Taiwan is a solar hotspot with 66 hectares of panels. That number could soon grow to 2,000 hectares, a sixth of the township's land. The government wants to build up renewable energy so it can cut emissions and scrap nuclear power. But some locals worry these solar panels could hurt the environment. This solar farm, for instance, used to be a forest.
我们虽然支持光电绿能的永续发展，但是2000公顷的开发案却没有任何的环评，让我们在地觉得非常的担忧。
There are also concerns about how developers are acquiring some of the land. The new Power Party wants officials to look at 7 projects in particular. It says the developer's parent company is under investigation for illegal land acquisition in another part of the country.
申请案不管是融资，不管是土地的取得都要用更审慎评估的标准来为我们的国人把关。
Disputes like this over solar land use are likely to increase as the government pushes a massive expansion in solar power. By the end of last year, Taiwan had capacity for 9.7 gigawatts of solar electricity, and it wants that to more than double to 20 gigawatts by 2025, just 2 years from now. Back in Fonglin, the local government says the projects have to be approved by the township and the county. But it's unclear whether residents here are ready to give the new solar farms and Taiwan's renewable building boom the green light they need. Scott Huang and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
A world-renowned Taiwanese dance troupe is planning open-air performances of one of its most famous pieces. Cloud Gate Dance Theater will perform 13 tongues in Taipei and Taichung in mid-July. The company's artistic director, Zhen Zonglong, created the piece. It's inspired by his mother's stories about a legendary Taipei street artist and storyteller known as the titular 13 Tongues. Cloud Gate will bring the piece to Europe during an upcoming tour later this year. The company expects to perform 13 tongues more than 100 times during that tour. With the Dragon Boat Long Weekend, people around the country are hitting popular tourist areas. And at Taipei Zoo, caretakers are making sure the animals also get in on the festive fun.
Finally, some time off. People in Taiwan are enjoying a 4-day break thanks to the Dragon Boat Festival. Some Taipei residents are using the long weekend to visit the city's zoo.
他就觉得很新奇，他想要再看一下，对，所以我们就是特地开车上来。
在这动物园看大象还有长颈鹿。
Part of traditional Dragon Boat festivities is eating zongzi, or sticky rice dumplings. So, in the spirit of the holiday, the zoo made some special zongzi for its animals. These snacks are made of ice with treats frozen inside, perfect to help the animals cool down on a hot summer day.
我们是选择用水果，里面大概有苹果，然后凤梨，还有西瓜，然后我们选择给黑冠松鼠吃，然后让他们可以度过这个炎热的夏天。因为这些水果切小块之后可以包起来，放做冰凉的冰粽。
The zoo is expecting tens of thousands of visitors over this weekend, and they're making sure that people and animals will both be able to enjoy themselves over the holiday. Thank you for watching Taiwan Plus News. Remember to download the Taiwan Plus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, enjoy these shots of dragon boat races taking place across Taiwan. I'm Eric Gao. Take care and see you next time.